What do you guys think of this prediction? Amongst the Cup Series rookies this season, Zane Smith will outperform Josh Berry and Carson Hocevar. Spot on, spot off. TJ.
I am also spot off on this. I think that's going to be tough to do. And I do think that Josh Berry will end up putting some solid races together. And I think Hocevar last year, he exceeded my expectations when he got in that other car. So I think out of the group there, I think Hocevar will be, if he can just not overstep at some points in the race, realize that I'm running 12th, I need to finish 12th and not try to run 6th with it, he can have some good runs. And I know Rodney will get that for. He'll, Josh is a good race driver, and he'll, him working with Rodney, I think they'll be able to put some really solid races together as well.
Yeah, I'm spot off for Zane outperforming these guys, and for reasons to your point, Rodney, for one, I think is the biggest factor that weighs in Josh's favor. Josh also has the most Cup experience. He's got 12 races against the other guys, I think 8 or 9. But Rodney always seemed to squeeze a little bit more out of that 4 car than everything else in that stable over there. Whether that was Kevin or Rodney, we'll find out now.
Yeah.
But, that 4 car always seemed to outperform everything over there. And then, Zane, these guys are all very talented. You're kind of splitting hairs here. I don't think one's going to go out and dominate over the other one. I don't think any of these guys make the playoffs unless they get a win at one of these
Speedway
drafting tracks or something like
Yeah.
that. But, Zane, he didn't impress me as much as Hocevar did last year. Hocevar turned heads.
Yep.
He had them flashes of running in the top 15 with a Spire car where, you never really saw that out of Zane. Not as much, not as frequently, I felt like, as out of Hocevar.
Even the 42, he had flashes.
So, yeah, well, that's what I was meant. So then, now you flip it to, Hocevar, and the biggest trouble I think Hocevar is going to have is people are going to race the to him because they want to see how he reacts. They know he has. If you took a poll in the garage, I don't think he has the respect of many drivers right now, just because of the stuff that he's been through in the Truck Series and some of the moves he's made over there. I think a lot of these guys, you got the new guy coming in. These guys try to get that guy under control right away. And until he earns their respect on the Cup Series, these guys are going to race him really hard. So he may have some difficulties with that. But, yeah, and I think Josh just, has a little bit more consistencies. And I think they Rodney will have that car maybe a hair faster than what the Spire car will be, the Spire and Trackhouse car. I think
Josh should have the
they're
best
both
average out of these guys.
Yeah, I think so. So Zane is a Spire car, right? Just Trackhouse like support. I think that help. Like, because I know the spotter's a Trackhouse spotter. I think the crew chief's a crew chief from Trackhouse. But yeah, I think Josh is just a little bit more consistent, but I don't think any of these guys walk away from the other ones.
Spot on, spot off. Austin Cindric is the biggest driver on the hot seat for the 2024 season. Freddie.
He's definitely on the hot seat. I don't think he's on the hottest seat. I think that Harrison Burton probably has to fit that mold. You can't have 4 top 10 finishes in 73 races in that equipment and expect to keep your job. I was honestly a little surprised that he was able to keep his job for this year. So if he's going to have to step up in a big way this year if he wants to continue on in that 21 car into the future. But listen, you talk about Austin, like how his seat is hot, TJ. Like Tim Cindric, obviously, I don't know what his title is over there. I know he basically runs the IndyCar program, it seems like. So that's obviously Austin's dad. He's a legacy guy at Penske. That car is the legacy car at Penske. I feel like the 2 is the flagship. How long can they continue to underperform? I mean, you go out there this week, they don't make the race. They were towards the bottom or at the bottom of the list both practices.
Yeah.
That car had 5 top 10 finishes last year when Joey and Blaney had like 17 and 18. How long can that continue? I know you're a legacy over there, but how long can that continue before Roger has to step in and make a decision?
Yeah. So ever since the 500, it's been downhill.
Yeah, 100%.
And even what bothers me about it is the places where I look at, I'm like, okay, who's going to be tough this week? His name's kind of left the list of the road courses.
Yeah.
And we've went to a lot of road courses, and just he used to be a factor up there running. I mean, even in an extra car, sometimes he was a top 5 guy, and now it's hard for him to even excel there. So definitely, the seat's definitely getting hot there. And, it can change in a heartbeat, though. You could come out of, I'm not saying a good run of Daytona wouldn't help it much, but coming out of Daytona with a quiet top 10, and that's a springboard to the beginning of the season, just getting some consistency going. If he can start knocking off some top 10s and then some top 5s, that changes the whole narrative with it. So, yeah, definitely some hot seats right there.
I feel like, and I don't have the stats to back this up, but I feel like, if you take these two guys, and there's other guys on this list that have hot seats that are in prominent rides, I'll get to in a minute, but, Harrison came out the first year was pretty bad. He was towards the back every week. And I think you saw some improvement last year, and I think that little bit of improvement is what kept him in the ride this year. I almost feel like Austin Cindric has taken a little bit of step back. Like, I felt like he was a little more consistent and ran a little bit better his rookie year versus how he did last year. I felt like last year they were really not very good. I think he's going to be fine, obviously, for next year. I don't think you'll see him getting replaced, but how long is that string going to play out before you've really got to step up and perform? And I like Austin a lot. Every time I've seen him, we've had a chat about racing or whatever, but, and Doug over there spotting is one of my best friends, but you're going to have to step up at some point. I'm sure they realize that, but getting at other guys, listen, if Daniel Suarez is a name that could potentially be on a hot seat, especially if you see a good season out of Zane, you see a good season out of SVG. There's two guys. I don't know how many charters Trackhouse is planning on having, but right now they got 2.
Yeah, by then they might have 10.
Right now they got 2, and they've got 4 drivers with guys coming through the ranks behind them, like Connor Zilic. So that's a seat that Ross is locked in. He's been a top, round of 8 guy, round of 12 guy,
That's
whatever it was.
That's going to be their guy for a while.
He's their guy. He signed this long-term Busch deal, it seems like. So he's their guy. If Daniel doesn't pick it up and start performing, and these other guys come in and start running well, like Zane and SVG, that seat gets a lot hotter this year if he doesn't perform. So, those are a couple guys to look for this year, and hopefully they all perform, because I like all these guys. I want them to stick around, but some people got to go to make room for new guys, and that's what happens in the sport.
Back to some Clash topics. In an interview with Front Stretch, Ty Gibbs said he's just mad that I ran him up after he and Joey Logano had a heated discussion following the Clash. Do you guys think Logano overreacted? I'll start with you, TJ.
No, I don't think Joey overreacted. I think, there's running a guy up and there's running a guy up, and he probably went to the worst stage of that you could do. And there's been a little bit of history here from last year. They got into it at Martinsville. I think, there was some run-ins before that, and I think then Martinsville happened, and everything kind of all got worked out after that to where they were on the same page with stuff. And then I just don't think this is what, like I said, there's a running a guy up, and then Joey lost, when I looked up there, he was all the way up against the wall, dropping back rows. And I don't think that sits well with a lot of people. And I can tell you this, if somebody did a Ty Gibbs, his reaction probably would have been even worse, So I've seen Ty overreact way worse than this already. So, and I just don't think this is something you want to. Your car's already super fast. You're probably the fastest car there. I just don't think it's the right time to poke the bear already again. You're getting ready to go into this long season again, and this is for a novel. What do you call this event? Like a one-off?
Yeah,
exhibition.
It's an exhibition race, and I just don't know if it's the right time for that. So hopefully, it was entertaining.
Yeah, I don't think Joey overreacted. Obviously, I'd be upset if I was him. One thing that puzzled me, which I wasn't expecting, I talked about to Bubba on the radio, was I was fully expecting Joey to choose the bottom behind Ty and ship his ass.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I would just expect out of Joey. And I was surprised when he took the top. I was like, well, that's different. And listen, Ty made a mistake. I don't think Ty... I think Ty tried to get in there and maybe take his lane away, but I don't think he intended to run him so high that Denny passed both of them on the bottom. I think Ty made a mistake. We talked about how difficult it was to get tires to grip up on restarts. Joey, what compounded Joey's issue was Ty runs him to the damn woodshed there, and then he's got to check up, and Blaney gets in the back of him and knocks him out of shape, and that's what just compounded the situation for Joey. So he's frustrated. He ran top 2 or 3 all night long, and was in position to win the race. I was surprised by his decision to choose the bottom there top there because you see who came out with the lead and won the race, the guy that chose the bottom behind the 54.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think Joey overreacted by any means. But yeah, to TJ's point, this is some history they carried over from Martinsville last year, which Martinsville was a product of things that happened. I can't remember if it was Vegas or Kansas. I remember them racing each other hard somewhere.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I don't think either guy was. I don't think Ty did it on purpose. I don't think he meant to take him that high, and I don't think Joey's overreacting for being upset that cost him a chance of winning the race.